Hi guys. For today, we're going to talk about writing an interview, review, and opinion articles. This presentation is prepared by Ma'am Hailey Ferrer, and of course, I'm going to be the one who will present it to you. The objective of this lecture is to apply the process on writing various content for new media and eventually, of course, creating a blog site for various themes and purposes. Now, of course, you already have an idea of what blog site that you want to build. So now we're going to go into how to write content or how to write articles in that blog site. Now, to begin the lecture, I'd like to quote an author, H.L. Mencken, from The Sunset. The author said that there are no dull subjects, only dull writers. Now, this quote is very relevant and true because any content or topic can be enjoyed depending on how it was presented and written. So, let's talk about what is an article. Now, an article is a short form work of nonfiction writing, ranging from a few hundred to a few thousand words that typically shared with readers as part of a collection of other articles. Now, an article's length can be dependent on the platform that it is published in. Now, an article may be the perfect tool for communicating complex ideas and stories in a friendly, credible, and easy to follow way. Now, when you say format is flexible, again, it is dependent on, of course, the nature of the article. Do you want to have fun with it? Do you want to present facts? Or somehow you want to create a commentary? Now, the format can also be, again, dependent on where you're going to find the article or the platform where the article is published. Now, articles are nonfiction, otherwise, they would be short stories. Okay? So, it is actually based or dependent on real life facts, real life opinions. Okay? Now, writers can and should be creative, but the content must be rooted in facts in order to make the article credible to the readers. Okay? It always has to be dependent on particular facts. Now, we also need to remember to not quote something you read on social media, in gossip publications, or in non journalistic blog posts, or something you heard offhand from a friend. Okay? The primary purpose is again to share information. And as learned or educated writers, we must know that we have to present facts. Okay? Not gossip, not what do you call this? Misinformation or disinformation. Now, another thing to remember is that you have to read up on your subject. Meaning, you have to do ample amount of research for you to be knowledgeable in order to write the article that you intend to write. Okay? And also, you have to be sure to cite your sources. Okay? You have to identify where the original idea came from and who to attribute for the facts that you are going to relay. Next, you need to consider what your audience wants to know. Of course, this is very tricky, but in understanding where your article will be published and what audience will read your article, then you can somewhat comprehend or you can somewhat know who your audiences are. Okay? Now, also keep the audience's interest in mind and letting that be the guiding principle. Okay? So, you are writing for a specific audience. So you have to keep that in mind when you are writing your respective articles. Now, where do you get your sources? Okay, so first is by observing. Okay, experience firsthand are obviously trustworthy. Okay, so if you are, let's say for example, a gamer, so you can write about a certain game if you have already played that game extensively. And that goes for other topics as well. If you are knowledgeable or you have first-hand knowledge about certain topics, then of course, you can write about it. Also, you can get existing articles or videos from respected sources. Now, when we say respected sources, it means it has to be legitimate sources that put their facts to the test. Okay? Also, you can do interviews who are likely to perceive, or people who are likely to be perceived as experts to your readers. Okay, now let's talk about how to write your articles. Okay? Take the lead or the beginning of your articles. Okay, meaning you have to include what's going to draw them in and make sure to get their interest. Okay, also try to answer the questions. What would pique your curiosity if you were them? You have to put yourself in the shoes of your readers. Next, consider reader's perspective through the use of transitions. Now, it should flow seamlessly from one idea and paragraph to the next. It's very difficult to read short and abrupt sentences and paragraphs. So, you have to work on the transition from one sentence to another and one paragraph to another. Now, there are some tricks for smoothing transitions or rough edges. Number one, you can use a quotation. Okay? Use a quote in order for you to somehow reinforce the topic or the opinion that you want to share to your audience. Next, use time-setting phrases like a few weeks ago, like a few months ago, or during this time. So you have those kinds of sentence in order for you to transition from one thought to another. You can also repeat a word or idea from the last sentence. You can also ask questions or ask a question. And in a way, you can also sing a contrast word or phrase like however or on the contrary to somehow create that juxtaposition between two dissenting opinions or two dissenting facts, so to speak. Now, the final place to inject some creativity is in the ending, hence creating a powerful ending. Now, you can use some of these questions to address how you're going to end your articles. First, is it a final compelling quote from a main source? So, if you're going to end your articles with a quotation, make sure that the quotation is compelling. And of course, the source of the quotation is credible. Okay. Next, could it be foreshadowing of the future? Meaning, you can actually create an ending that somewhat introduces or that somewhat gives you the chance to create a new article connected to the one that you're writing. Okay? Next, could it be a prediction or a wish for what's to come next? So, this is one of the endings that writers frequently use. Now, after writing all the facts, now it's time for you to create somewhat of a prediction on what is to come next. Okay? Or you can have an idea or image or a conspicuous word that popped up earlier in the article. So somehow, if you can connect the beginning to the ending, then it can be more compelling. Now, of course, all the endings will have to depend on your skill as a writer. Now, we're going to talk about the different articles that you need to write in order for you to populate your respective blog sites. So first, let's have interview articles. Of course, in interview articles, you must have an interviewee. Now, an interviewee basically is anyone who knows more about a subject than you do. Someone who can provide insights on your topic. It can be an expert in a field or on the subject, or it could be an eyewitness who saw firsthand what was happening during the event that you're going to write about. Okay? So, in interview articles, first you have to find sources. So, you have to find interviewees that are credible and that are articulate enough to share their good insights. Okay? Now, you have to do background research first. Of course, you have to understand the basic terminology of the subject and see what aspects of the topic others have to address to give ideas of questions to ask. Also, you have to find statistics and examples to liven up the article. Third, during the conduct of an interview, of course, record the interviews using a call recorder app. You can use voice recorders or you can use video interviews depending on how comfortable or what is the preference of your interviewees. Okay? Now, but of course, you have to record the interviewee quotes reliably. Okay? Because the things that you're going to write about is dependent on, again, the answers that the interviewee gives you. Okay? Now, beforehand, you can email the interviewees a draft of the article so that he or she can approve their quotes. Okay? That is one of the most ethical things to practice when doing interview articles. Now, interview articles, usually about 3 to 5 interviews is enough for a 1,000 to 1,200 word articles. You can do single interviews when you only have to do like 300 to 500 words. Next, you have to review. You have to review the interview footages or the interview recordings so that you can be refreshed and you can see some insights that you have missed during the actual interview. Okay, now after reviewing, you then have to outline and list down the main points or the main answers to the questions that you have asked the interviewee. Okay? Now, after doing all that, it's time for you to write your first draft. Okay? Of course, writing the first draft is very necessary, and of course, it will give you the flow of the actual article. But always remember, your first draft, okay, can change drastically when you edit it. Okay? Now, lastly, you have to revise and verify. In a way, double check the accuracy of the names, the title, the statistics, and give the article the final proofread. Now, let's talk about review articles. Now, review articles provide a great overview of existing literature on a topic. Now, review articles could be about books, about a movie, a restaurant, a particular food, a tool, a gadget, or even a social issue. Of course, depending on what topic or what themes that you want to talk about in your blog site, okay? So, in terms of reviewing a particular product or food or movie, okay, the choice is, of course, for the writer to make. Review articles also offer a critique or an opinion of something that is presented as a well-developed argument. Now, good ones include both objective and subjective information. Always remember, if you're doing a review article, okay, of course, it will be subjective because it will include your insights or your own personal experiences in, let's say, in using the product or in enjoying the music or etc. Okay, but you have to also put in there some objective information. Okay, real facts about that particular product or that particular thing that you are reviewing. Now, in writing your review articles, first is you have to write your thesis statement. Okay, you have to somewhat create uh, one argument that you're going to follow up through the article or through the paragraphs in your article. Okay? You have to judge the product or restaurant or whatever it is based on actual, real hand experiences that is experienced or is seen by the writer himself or herself. Okay? Write your review based on reasonable expectations. You always have to remember that you have to be as unbiased and as uh, unrestricted as possible. Next is opinion articles. Okay, now, opinion articles, sometimes referred to as op-ed, is a commentary written by someone who is independent of the newspaper. Now, an opinion piece was traditionally published in print media opposite the editorial page. Hence the term op-ed or opinion editorial. Okay? Now, these articles generally come from an author not affiliated with the media publisher and are used to publish an opinion that is meant to create thought and discussion among the readers. So, depending again on the theme of your blog, you can create your own opinion pieces about certain things or about certain issues inside that particular or connected to a particular theme that you are writing about. Okay? Now, if you're going to share your own opinion, you must remember, again, that you have to be knowledgeable to the issue that you are discussing. So it means that you have to do a lot of research before sharing your own opinion. Now, writers usually has some special expertise or credibility on the topic. Again, highlighting your own personal information or your own personal experience about the thing that you are going to write an opinion about. Okay? This might include, for example, lawyers or ex-government officials or even scientists that have, again, their own experiences and they want to share their insights about a particular issue. Now, a piece may also come from someone with an especially telling or powerful personal experience relating to the topic. Now, this is where your article is going to hinge. Okay? a powerful personal experience that you have in relation to the article or the theme of your blog site. Okay? Opinion articles are written to address popular or unknown issues or in response to opinions expressed elsewhere. So, dependent on the purpose or depending on what's the purpose of the opinion that you want to share. But basically, it's uh, talking about certain issues. Now, how to write an opinion article? Now, start with an attention-grabbing opening line that cuts to the heart of the key message and encourages people to read further. Okay? Remember, very important opening line. It must evoke an emotion or an element of curiosity. So, very important to create a very interesting and a very attention-grabbing opening line or opening sentence. It can begin with facts and makes an argument based on facts. Okay? So, even if this is, again, a bit subjective because you are sharing your own opinion as a writer, but of course, your opinions must be anchored with facts. Okay? It is informed by logic, not by emotion or ideology. Okay? Again, anchor it with facts. Again, grab the reader's attention in the first line and end with a strong, thought-provoking line. So, the beginning and the end must really be powerful in creating or writing opinion articles. Now, come down hard on one side of the argument and never equivocate. Okay, never uh, what do you call this? Never invalidate what you have said. Okay? Identify and acknowledge, okay? Identify and acknowledge counter arguments. Then refute it with facts. So, if, for example, you want to create a response article, a response opinion article about somebody who stated something, of course, you can refute it with facts that you are going to research on before you write your articles. And lastly, use active verbs. Go easy on adjectives and adverbs. Also, avoid cliches, avoid acronyms, avoid technical jargons, and cite specific references and easy to understand data. Okay? For my last tip for you in creating all the articles that you're going to write about in your blog, okay, always remember to write what you know. Okay? It's easier to write something about what you have experienced already or to write something about what you have a very wide array of knowledge already rather than writing about someone or something that you have zero knowledge about. Okay? So, in that note, I end my short lecture on writing specific articles for your blog. So, these are the reference that we used. In that note, guys, I would like to thank you and also remember, if you have any questions, you can send them to me via email, course message, or chat. Thank you very much for watching and take care.